Let's take a political dimension this time around, talking about the PDP crisis. PDP had been going through an immense crisis after its presidential primary election won by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Now, as the crisis in the opposition party deepens, the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the party, Senator Walid Jibril, on Thursday announced his resignation from his position. Also, facts have emerged on why the 17 governorship candidates of the People's Democratic Party visited the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, in Port Harcourt on Tuesday night. They said that they had visited the governor as part of their contribution to the reconciliatory moves initiated by the party's leadership to end the internal crisis in the main opposition PDP. Now, aside from looking for a solution to the crisis plaguing the party, the governorship hopefuls said they are also worried about their chances to win the forthcoming election in their respective states. It was learned that Wike had insisted that they were not in any position to resolve the crisis and therefore referred back to the National Working Committee of the party. We have in the studio Umar Sani, a PDP chieftain and former spokesman of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council 2019, to discuss this. We'll also be joined by our political reporter, Shafiu Suleiman, to also give us updates on issues in the polity. Well, good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you join us again today.
It is my pleasure.
It has been an interesting 48 hours for the PDP. It has practically kept all of us glued, except for the little interjection we have with the passing of the Queen. It's been a moment of heightened expectations around how the party intends to resolve what has been a very long impasse. What has been happening in the last 24 hours?
Let me say that the PDP has always been an interesting party. You know, from 1999, the drama, the expectations, the excitement, and everything has been within the PDP. All those was lost when the APC took over. So Nigerians are very yearning for the comeback of PDP. However, when too much expectations are in a political party, definitely there will be crisis. Now the crisis emanating from the PDP, you have to apportion the blames, you know, in a manner not to favor any other side. I want to say that Nyesom Wike has his very good sides to this phenomenon. He has been agitating, he has been, of course, people will say because he lost the primaries, and so he has gotten his voice back, so he is talking and talking. And however, what he is saying, some of them are correct, and some of them are, you know, manifestations of his anger in the whole saga. When he says the party is skewed towards the northern angle, he's correct, because everything happens to. But again, that is also within the tradition of the PDP, because in 2014 or even earlier than that, Jonathan was the president. Kwesile Nwodo was the party chairman, you know, in 2011. And Tony Anene was the chairman of the BOT.
But we have also seen, without cutting you, the resignation of the BOT chair. And there are also speculations that the chairman of the Governors Forum may have resigned. I mean, some quarters is reported to have resigned, in some other quarters they are saying it's an action that is being contemplated. Is this all in an attempt to create the rebalancing that has been agitated?
I think that is the point, because even Walid Jibril, when he tendered his resignation, he said he did it in the interest of the party, so that such imbalance within the party will be corrected. And it was not very difficult, you know, for Adolphus Wabara, former Senate President, to become the acting BOT chairman, pending after the elections. Then the BOT might among themselves conduct their necessary selection process. Again, Tambuwal's position, most people will say that being a chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, is not, a constitutional or any position within recognized by the party, but it is a pressure group, and a very strong one for that matter within, because when the governors forum come to any PDP function and they have a voice, their voice is always heard, so it supersedes any other voice. And so once they come as a team, they normally get what they want. So having formed a forum and they have elected themselves as pressure group, they form a very formidable force within the PDP. And so if the thing has been given to Sheima Kindi, and then this one goes to Adolfo Sobara, at least some semblance of justice has been, returned to the party. So I believe that the party is looking towards, not only resolving the internal issues, but also giving a semblance of, being in a Nigerian party where every segment of the society, will be taken care of. The national chairman now is from the North Central. The BOT chairman is from the Southeast. The Governors Forum chairman is from the Southwest. So you have the DG of the campaign, who happens to be Tambua, is now from the Northwest, which coincidentally has the largest number of registered voters in the country. So, and the presidential candidate is from the Northeast. So I think the distribution is perfectly in order.
Now, the BOT chair said he resigned in the interest of the party. Would you say that is reflected?
Yes. He said he said he resigned in the interest of the party. And in the interest of the party, it means he wants the party to win the election. And by winning the election, he wants those things that are being agitated upon to be resolved. By his resignation, the position has gone to the Southeast. So that is, an interest of the party.
Wike, a very interesting party in all of this development, has continued to insist on just one thing. It appears that he makes one demand, but the party would rather concede grounds on areas that may not be of interest to him. And whilst we may think that it is only Wike talking, we understand that there are other governors that are standing with him. He has continued to insist on the party chairman moving the other way around. Is this a concession that you think would happen in the face of this crisis? Well,
the party has conceded so many things to Wike, and on this one, he has to concede to the party. Let me say that in 2015, when the party lost the presidential election, Ahmadu Ali resigned, and so there was the need to replace him. Wike single-handedly brought in Ali Modu Sharif from the Northeast, where the former governor of Bauchi State, who was the chairman, left. So Sharif became a thorn in the flesh of not only the party but even to Wike himself. And so it took the intervention of the Supreme Court to get him out. Now, having gotten him out, again, the same Wike moved for the reinstatement or the instatement of Ahmed Makapi, the former governor, as acting chairman. Within the period, there were agitations that the party position should move southwest. At the first Port Harcourt convention, Wike brought in Jimmy Agbaji. Okay. Jimmy Agbaji as his own candidate to support. That singular action pitched Jimmy Agbaji and Bode George in contention, and they became,
political rivals.
Yes, political rivals. They were very close, but because of that action, they became when the convention could not take place because of the court order, he jettisoned him, and then brought in, and then again, the party now sat down and said, okay, still it should go to Southwest. And so Professor Tunde Adeniran was tipped to become the chairman of the party. But Wike brought in Secondos, and the party accepted Secondos, and he became the national chairman. And because of his political interest, he sought for a court order and removed Secondos with a court order. And together with Otom, they brought in Ayu. So is the party such, a commodity that every day at the whims and caprices of a single man, we will continue to change our national chairman as if we are changing clothes every day? It is not possible. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that even the issues surrounding the changing of the chairman now is very grave. Our constitution is very clear. There are two deputy national chairmen, one from the north and one from the south. And if the national chairman from the north resigns, the person who becomes the acting national chairman is the man from the north. So what Wike is trying to look for cannot even be gotten by that action, by the resignation of Ayu. Yes, if he says, okay, now if we are going for a convention, so okay, to elect a national chairman from the south, then the whole configuration has to change, because the zoning arrangement was made in between the north and the south. The secretary, national secretary, is from the south. So the national, if the chairman is the national secretary has to move. So it means that the whole national working committee has to resign.
But is this a position, because we understand that there had been several forums where a lot of people have made efforts to intervene in this crisis. We saw even the governorship aspirants pay visits there in the last 72 hours. The question is this something that is very difficult for Wike to understand, given what has become the continuous outbursts after every intervention?
You see, there is, people have a way they take, defeats. Wike, before the defeat at the national committee, there were so many moves that he has made to ensure that he becomes either the sole candidate or the leading candidate, which, of course, within a political party, it is normal. But what he didn't envisage was that he was going to fail in that election, because he thought he had done his homework very well. But, like every contest, you are doing your homework, somebody is also doing his own. So the thing came in favor of Atiku Abubakar. The general idea is that Atiku should not even contest. But Atiku insisted that because of our arrangement within the party, we are not supposed to look at APC and operate, pari passu in their own distance. Because in PDP, the North had conceded presidency to the South for about 14 years. So in the 16 years of PDP, the North only did 2 years. So the North didn't want to agree to say, okay, we are handing it completely. So it has to be either you leave it for the North, or the team becomes an open contest. Whoever emerges, it means he's superior. And so that was what actually happened.
Okay, now we'll get back to the discussion a little later, but before we do that, let's take a look at this report.
I told Nigerians before, at the appropriate time I was going to speak. But now that things are coming, let me be revealing small to you people. So that you know the kind of country we are in. And you know how to see yourself. Are you part of this country? Are you said, if the presidential candidate comes from the North, that he will resign by the convention of our party, that the candidate of our party, the chairman of our party, will come from the South. When the North Central met in the house of Governor Balab Mohammed, Governor of Bauchi State, he said so there. When he made a caucus of the Senate, he told them that. Now, when we finish our convention on a Saturday to Sunday, the candidate of the party came to see me in my house in Abuja on Monday, around 10:30 a.m. And that's what I don't like in this country. The candidate told me, I said, listen, I want us to work together. And then he said, look, you must go. I said, why? He said, because when a candidate comes from the north, the chairman will come from the south. And I'm saying, implement what you told me. What offense have I committed? What offense have I committed?
Interesting developments there and perspective from Nyesom Wike. Yesterday, the party members unanimously voted to keep Ayu amidst all of the developments that happened yesterday. And some people are already interpreting that as a sign that they have moved on from the crisis, even though Wike in this video is saying that he still doesn't accept the position of the party. With that vote yesterday, what does it signpost with regards to making progress, especially given that the campaigns open in less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, you see, a vote of confidence is not a vote that you should continue. You are already there, and you are supposed to continue because you have been voted for 4 years. A vote of confidence by NEC is only to say you are doing well. So we don't have anything against you. Please keep up the good works. And that vote of confidence goes a long way. Now, however anybody feels, once the party takes a decision, the party supremacy comes into play. Now, what Wike is saying is an issue which is personalized. He has a discussion with candidates. He had a discussion with party chairman. These are his words against their own. But those things should have been brought to NEC to say, okay, these are the things we discussed. And we have agreed we are going to resign. So you have resign. But when you stay away from NEC, which is the highest decision-making organ of the party, and then you are ranting somewhere else, you know, that it doesn't really solve the problem. You have an issue, and they called a meeting. In that meeting, you are supposed to be there to actually be part and parcel of that meeting, and to also, you know, table your grievances within that meeting, so that meeting will look at it and resolve the matter. You didn't come, and then you now in a podium somewhere in Port Harcourt, you are now lamenting. Those lamentations will not help the party. You have to come to such meetings and then air your grievances, including those governors that didn't come. They should have been there, and they could have influenced decisions. Why is it that all other decisions that the party took, you know, previously he was there? Why is it that this one is the only one that he was not there?
Okay, now let's get perspectives from our political reporter Shafiu Suleiman to talk to us about, you know, the crisis within the party. Yesterday, he attended the National Executive Committee of Nigeria's opposition party. He reported directly from there, so I'd like to hear his perspectives on that. Hello, Shafiu. Good morning, and welcome to Daybreak.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for having me. Even though the audio is not really good,
okay,
but I think I can barely hear you.
Okay, so could you just bring us up to speed about the report you covered yesterday?
Well, as you're aware, you know, there have been series of meetings of the major opposition People's Democratic Party before yesterday. And there were meetings of the NWC, and then there was also a meeting of the Board of Trustees, which which was preceded by the NEC meeting, which is the National Executive Committee meeting. Basically, all of the meetings were geared towards resolving the lingering crisis, entire party crisis, which was a fallout of the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as the presidential candidate of the party. You recall during the presidential primary, Atiku emerged, you know, and then Wike, who happens to be the governor of Rivers State, was the second runner-up, if you like. But then what transpired during the convention was the genesis of, so to speak, because Wike had expected that perhaps he would emerge presidential candidate of the party because of, his strategies and reach out before the convention. He was seemed to be also very close to one of the major contenders, that is the governor of Sokoto State, Waziri Tambuwal. But surprisingly, that day during the convention, Tambuwal stepped down from the contest, and then not only stepped down, he now asked his supporters to vote for Atiku Abubakar. So in the final analysis, Atiku Abubakar emerged, having defeated Wike. So Wike, was noticing a lot of grievances. Shortly after the convention, he was talking about injustice. He was talking about gang up. He was talking about all sorts of things that led to his defeat and what have you, and betrayal, as he said. So, but then to add to the assault to injury, Atiku Abubakar, in spite of the fact that he set up a committee to give him, or rather ask the party to give him a short list of those that may likely serve as his running mate, which the committee, I think, did that job, and then Wike was topping the list. Atiku Abubakar decided to pick the governor of Delta State, Vanyi Okowa, as his running mate, as against the one on the top of the list, which is Wike. But then it is the prerogative of the presidential candidate to pick a running mate based on the party's constitution and the how it is, in the antecedents. So that was the genesis. Several attempts have been made by Atiku himself and then by people very close to him to bring Wike back to the fold, if you like. Even though he didn't leave the party, but he was really aggrieved, and he was making a lot of comments that are considered adversarial and all of that.
Okay, Shafiq, so, I would like you to speak to what the feelers were yesterday by those who attended the meeting with regards to the frequent outbursts of Wike. Did you try to get perspectives around those?
Yes, the meeting was a closed door one. But then we were, right from outside the venue, we could hear voices, indicating that it was a very stormy session. Angers, tempers rose and all of that. And then later, we also saw one of the BOT members who is sympathetic to Wike, that is former national chairman of the party, Bode George, storm out of the meeting. We made attempts, to speak to him concerning why he was out of the meeting before it ended. He did not respond, but he told one of our colleagues that he should just meet him at home or speak with him through phone. He said he can be in a meeting that, talking trash and what have you. So it appears he was not satisfied or happy with what was going on.
Okay.
And then later again, we also saw one of the BOT members who is also sympathetic to Atiku camp, talking about the former governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, also stormed out of the session. We also made efforts to speak with him. He, declined to comment, but he said he's actually tired, he wants to go and all of that. So it was obvious that even before the meeting, members across, the organs of the party are divided along these two contending forces. Even governors, if you recall, 3 of them are with Wike, who were also absent at that meeting, including Wike. So it was something that was expected. Wike and his camp completely avoided the meeting, and those who are at the meeting also appeared to have a clear agenda, perhaps, to give a vote of confidence on the current NWC, which they did, eventually.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shafiq. That's the much we can take from your end. we will talk to you. We will continue to keep in touch to get an up-to-date development around the issues of the PDP. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you also for having me.
Coming to you to get your final thoughts on this crisis. How much do you think all of the things that have happened have robbed the party, in terms of preparedness? Because we see what the opposition, the ruling party is doing, having all sorts of meetings, trying to tighten loopholes and make itself a very formidable force in the coming elections. But every time it turns to the PDP, what we see is the escalation of this crisis, even though there are efforts, to sort of resolve it. Do you think this has robbed you of precious time with regards to preparation?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because the campaigns have not begun yet, and we are only making preparations. And I think even within that period, the general feeling is that sorry, the general feeling is that the crisis, they were trying to look for ways to resolve the crisis so that in the campaign team will consist of everybody. But now that the thing is spiraling out of hand, the party is trying to move forward. There is no way we can stop when the campaigns will begin in the next 2 weeks. So there has to be, a conscious and concerted effort by the party to move the party forward. And so these issues that have been raised could not have been of any significance to.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the program this morning, and we hope to have you next.